Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to cover another super investor, Bill Ackman, and this is a portfolio update. I've covered him before and have shared how he is one of the more famous investors, very well known and respected. He has some big wins and he has some losses. More recently, he invested in Uber, which was a really good idea, and the stock's really up this year. But a couple of his losses include Nike, where he bet that Nike was going to really rebound, and it hasn't done so. He ended up selling out of his position. And then last year, Netflix, he went into that position with a lot of press and then abandoned the position before Netflix went on a real big rise. So that position itself was a loser in two ways. He lost money and he abandoned the stock before it took off. And now from that point, Netflix is up 400% or so. So he really missed out on a big gain there. Nonetheless, there's a lot of lessons to be had by studying Bill Ackman. He has a concentrated portfolio, really invest a lot of money across maybe 15 stocks or less. And I'd like to study the changes he's made to his portfolio in the middle of 2025 and see if we can get an edge maybe on one or two more investments or maybe get out of a stock that he has gotten out of. Let's take a close look at Bill Ackman and his portfolio. Here are the stocks in the portfolio that Bill Ackman manages. We'll start off with Uber, which is his biggest percentage holding in his portfolio, and it's a new holding. He bought 30 million shares. That is a big bet. And he's probably glad he did so because in short time, he's up almost 27%. He's made 500 and almost $94 million on that one stock. Good for him. That is great. His three biggest positions, the next one is Brookfield, and that one is 18% of his portfolio. He's up modestly there, 3.34, making about $109 million on that position. Restaurant Brands is about 12.85 of his portfolio, and that's up nicely, up almost 9.5. Howard Hughes, he I think wants to establish almost a another Berkshire Hathaway by acquiring most of Howard Hughes. And that one there isn't working out for him this year. It's a pretty substantial loser, 132 million year to date in losses. Chipotle, another loser. It's I just don't like restaurant stocks, but he saw something in Chipotle. Maybe the departure of the CEO combined with the fact that, geez, you got to sell a lot of burritos to keep growing the company. Just a tough business. So he lost some money there. I wonder he might get out of that position soon, I imagine. Then he's got a railroad with the Canadian Pacific Kansas City line, which looks pretty good for the year, 12.77. That is a little bit of a surprise since we have all these tariffs. I would think that maybe the amount of rail that was being shipped may have gone down. Now, these two positions here, this is really his third biggest position is Google Alphabet because he owns symbol GOOG and GOOGL. If you combine the two, we're up there at 14%. So it would actually be the third biggest position. And that one there, he's not doing all that great on. And I feel his pain because that is a big position of mine. And that one there is a loser for him. The next investment is Hilton. And it'll be interesting to see how travel goes for the rest of the year. I think travel is going to have a hard time if we have a recession. And overall, I think things are really slowing down. So we'll see how Hilton does. Seaport Entertainment is the next stock, and this one isn't doing very well. I think this one might be the worst percentage loser in the portfolio. And not a big position, but it's still a big percentage loser. Hertz is a big percentage winner, but a very small position. So although it's 83% to the upside, it's a $45 million win when Uber is much better than that because it's such a big position. And the biggest money loser for him is Nike. And Nike is a position he took on. I think there was a rebound expected, and the reality is it didn't happen. And I don't know that Nike's going to make it out of the woods. Just the tariff war, a lot of things going on, the recession, all things point against Nike, and he lost a substantial amount. I think this was the biggest money loser that he had in his portfolio, $228.7 million loss. So that was the biggest one. Collectively, all the portfolio, it's up 0.97%, almost 1% to the upside. The S&P is up 1.5%. So now I'm not measuring his portfolio probably perfectly, but it's really looking at the major stock holdings for the biggest periods that he's holding them. For example, Uber he bought in Q2. So I'm measuring just Q2 performance for Uber. And he sold Nike at the end of Q1. So I took that one out and it's not included in the Q2 gain or loss. So I think I'm reasonably close, and he is lagging the S&P if you measure the S&P from a year-to-date perspective. Looking at Bill Ackman's performance compared to his super investor peers, he's in 10th place based on the 16 super investors that I track. He's ahead of Warren Buffett and David Einhorn, and he's behind Kathy Wood and Rob Vinall. And he's well behind the leaders, which are David Tepper, Michael Burry, who are really having good years. So it's interesting to see a super investor as intelligent and has the resources like Bill Ackman not beat the S&P. And you consider if an investor goes and invests in Pershing Square, that 0.97 is the performance of the portfolio. Then you have to pay the management fees. So that might be, I don't know, 1%. So an investor might just be breaking even if you look at high level, the portfolio and what it's been doing. So I would be less than satisfied based on that type of performance. Lessons learned from Bill Ackman is the Uber trade was real positive for his portfolio. I'm really glad I've owned Uber for well over 2 years, and it's really doing well for my portfolio. I continue to buy into Uber on those big dips when everybody was doubting Uber that, hey, robotaxi is going to come in and replace Uber. I thought, that's just silly. I think Uber, their network power, their growth, it's there. And it's good to see Bill Ackman and other investors buy into Uber. Second lesson is Bill Ackman has chased some comeback stories. Nike, Netflix. Nike, he isn't in it to see the stock come back, which is interesting. It took a loss. On Netflix, he didn't stick around to see the rebound. He abandoned the position once it was negative. And it might be that he's just trying to groom his portfolio to show that, hey, he got out of a loser, gets it off the books, and can kind of show a better week by week performance. I don't know. You'd have to ask Bill Ackman. But those two positions teaches me that if I really believe in a company, I should stick to that company if the fundamentals support my story. Netflix, I invested around the same time as Bill Ackman, and I stuck it out, and I made good money on Netflix. I ended up selling and made good money on Netflix. I never really invested in Nike. I invested for a short period of time and then got out. I just got concerned with the stock and got out before it was damaging to my portfolio. I think I made a little bit of money because Nike's just been so beat up. So lessons learned. Investing is difficult. It's even difficult for the super investors. And it's good to see that, Ackman's in some stocks that I'm into. We'll see if he sticks it out on Google Alphabet. I don't see why he wouldn't stick it out, but who knows? Maybe he'll sell out of that one too. So that's my video on Bill Ackman. I hope you found it interesting. Let me know what you think of Bill Ackman and put it in the comments. I'd really like to understand what you think. And I appreciate you watching the video. What I would also appreciate is your support of the channel. In order to cover all the costs and so forth of running a YouTube channel, I have a paid member program, and I've got a good number of paid members. I really appreciate their support, and you can be a member as well. You'll also get really good perks like getting access to tools that I use to analyze stocks, member-only videos, and member-only calls. Take a look at the details of this video, and you'll see more details on the channel membership program. You could also download my mobile app. There'll be a link on the description of the video. You can download my mobile app and see a very simplified way of looking at stocks, screening stocks, and getting ideas on stocks that you can consider investing in. Take a look. I really appreciate you watching the video, and let me wish you the best of success in your investments.